Facilitated workshops. As information becomes more complicated, relying on one person to make the necessary decisions is no longer sensible. Organizations can benefit from facilitated workshops to make it easier for a large number of people to interact with one another. The CIWI book mentioned facilitated meetings as a requirements elicitation technique, but I prefer to use the term facilitated workshops as mentioned in the PM book, Project Management Body of Knowledge. The main difference between a meeting and a workshop is that a meeting is where people exchange information. A workshop is where people discover and create information. As one once said, facilitation is the art of leading people through processes toward agreed-upon objectives in a manner that encourages participation, ownership, and productivity from all involved. The facilitated workshops technique, also called collaborative sessions, is a technique that uses focused sessions to bring cross-functional stakeholders together in order to define product requirements. It is also an effective way of reconciling the differences of stakeholders. The main characteristic of a facilitated workshop is that it is highly interactive. It is a well-facilitated session that fosters trust and improves communication among each participant. It can also lead to the discovery of underlying issues that can be resolved quicker than individual sessions. As a specialized meeting with clear objectives, a neutral facilitator is present during the entire process. The facilitator should not have any stake in the outcome of the workshop and should encourage the group to work together to achieve the goal. The facilitated workshop is used to elicit requirements and also can be used to solve a problem in the project, build a plan, or make decisions. It provides a team-based approach to improve communication within the team. Another advantage is that conflicting requirements surface early on to let the stakeholders recognize where these occur. When it works well, this technique may result in a richer and more consistent set of requirements than might otherwise be achievable. However, meetings need to be handled carefully, hence the need for a facilitator. This is to prevent a situation in which the critical abilities of the team are affected by group loyalty, or in which requirements reflect the concerns of a few outspoken and perhaps senior people favored to the disadvantage of others. Facilitated workshops are used when stakeholders are dispersed or difficult to identify, trying to define the initial high-level requirements at the beginning of a project, trying to identify and negotiate conflicts among requirements and stakeholders. There are a few points to keep in mind when considering facilitated workshops. Establish ground rules. The participants should agree on some basic operating principles for their workshops. Examples include starting and ending meetings on time, returning from breaks promptly, holding only one conversation at a time, expecting everyone to contribute, focusing comments and criticisms on issues, not on individuals. I know that these items sound obvious, but when the discussion heats up, people usually get excited and forget the basics. So it's advisable to mention your ground rules at the very start of the meeting. Stay in scope. Groups easily dive into distracting detail during requirements discussions. Those discussions consume time that the group should initially develop a higher level of understanding of user requirements. The details will come later. The facilitator should always remind the participants to keep on topic. Use parking lots to capture items for later. It is not unusual for random but important information to surface in an elicitation workshop every now and then. Quality attributes, business rules, user interface ideas, constraints, and more. It's recommended to take notes of those random thoughts in what we call parking lots. You can go later back and check your parking lot in a separate meeting. This way you don't lose it, and it also demonstrates respect for the participant who brought it up. Keep the team small and include the right participants. Small groups can work much faster than larger teams. Elicitation workshops with more than 5 or 6 active participants can become unmanageable. People can easily get caught in side talks and debates. Workshop participants should include analysts, customers, system architects, developers, and visual designers. That's knowledge, experience, and authority to make decisions, which are qualifications for participating in elicitation workshops. The participants are usually called a focus group when they are all subject matter experts in the areas. Keep everyone engaged. Sometimes participants will stop contributing to the discussion or even don't contribute at all from the start. I want you to consider many of the agile best practices in this area, which will help you get people more interactive from the very start.